Well, TGIF, yay, the weekend. And so my name is Dr. Kimberly Quinn, and there's Giovanni. There he is. Giovanni's right there. We are enjoying stick season. I'm not sure if that's a Vermont term or not, but it's one we use here. Here's the mini version. These used to be peppers, and then they turn into salsa sometimes. And then, that's when the leaves are off the trees, and it has this gorgeous burnt sienna look to it. That was one of my favorite colors in the Crayola box. Younger, it's kind of like a rusty color, and G blends right in. It kind of camouflaged. So, actually, I'm on my back deck right now. I don't know if you can see the goats way over there. They're just like enjoying the sunshine. Anyway, we've got some good stuff to talk about today because Giovanni and I would like to talk about zombies in the workplace. And before you hang up on us, let me just tell you it's real. And it's real because here's what happened, right? We had the Rona hit in 2020. The world closed rather abruptly in the middle of March in 2020. Many of us got pink slips. Most of us who didn't get the pink slips were told we couldn't come into work anymore except for the essentials, Many of the medical people and cashiers and gas station folks and hardworking people who had to be there. But, many of us were told to stay home. And that went on for a while, and then it had like a whole middle. And at a certain point, I think we kind of lost track of I don't know if the word normal matters. That's not one of my favorite words, but whatever we were used to, status quo, let's just say that, really changed. And now here we are in the wake of the pandemic, about almost 4 years now, and there's still some weirdness going on. Way back then we got isolated, anxiety and depression rates soared. Oh, and so did our umbrella. It just flew out of the... Wow, it's kind of flew out of the table. So anyway, it got to the point where many of us, even those of us who love people and, get our charge, those of us who are extroverts means we get our batteries charged by being around lots of people. Even a lot of the extrovert crew got to a point where it was tough to socialize. We were asked to go back in eventually, right? It was like, what, seriously? It feels like climbing Mount Everest. Just didn't want to socialize. Never mind the introverted crew, many of whom were super happy being at home to a point. We all need some face-to-face, no matter where you land on the introvert-extrovert spectrum. And so now here we are, almost 4 years later. I actually just wrote an article on this for Psychology Today about zombies in the workplace. And it's a thing. And you can look, not just my articles, there's a bunch of them out there. So here's what happened. Okay, world closed. Then we came back, sort of. It looked really different. There was a hybrid version for a lot of people. Then what happened to cause kind of what we're talking about today is people sort of not kind of reevaluating, like, what am I doing? My life minutes are so valuable. Am I even happy here? Is this even worth it? In the end, does what I'm doing even matter? Do I feel appreciated? Maybe not so much. Maybe yes. Maybe sort of, but could be better. Is the money worth it? Do I want to do this commute anymore? That takes time, life minutes away from my partner and my kids or my roommate or my sister or my brother, whatever. There's lots of reevaluating going on with how we spend our time, which I refer to as life minutes. And there's nothing more valuable than our life minutes, obviously. So that led to the quiet quitters, quietly quitting. There are lots of articles on quietly quitting as well, all over LinkedIn and just Google it and that comes up. So that was the people who were, they were kind of going through the motions while they looked for other things, kind of checking boxes so that, they stayed employed, but while they looked for other things. Then the quietly quitting thing kind of exploded, and because so many people were doing it, which then led to the Great Resignation, right? The Great Resignation. And that left our country, and I'm sure other countries as well. I'm obviously more familiar with what's going on in the States here, where we were left with a real big, really huge shortage of people power. There's signs up all over the place, even here in Vermont. And of course, I travel a lot, so I saw what was going on in the West and down in New York and all different places. With restaurants especially is what comes to my mind. It was hospitality got hit a lot, but so did lots of other lots of other businesses. You saw how many signs did we see with the restaurants saying, they went from, sort of controlled in-person dining at a point, right? Every other table or every fourth table, depending on how, if that's Little Italy in Manhattan, it would probably be like every fourth table because it's all squishy, or every other table and maybe a diner. And that went to curbside, takeout stuff, or ring the bell and they slide it under the little thing, right? Like a bank kind of. And that led to, sorry, no staff, or, closed until further notice. And then that just turned into out of business, just plain done, out of business. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with here in all different aspects of different contexts of people and their businesses and what they do. The education world changed loads. So here's what we're talking about today. So we had the quiet quitters, right? Those quietly quitting, looking for other things while they were doing whatever they were doing the absolute minimal to get by. And then the Great Resignation. And now we're at a whole nother level. And a lot's being written about it, and including me this week. I think because I've seen it where I was. I've seen it with friends, like what they tell me about their places, and just lots of conversations about it. So basically the zombie employees, actually I should give you a statistic. I'm not going to stat you to death because nobody likes that, but this one's important. So, and it's also in my article, I'm talking about United States, America right now. Only 27% of American employees say that they're, I forget what the word it was, but engaged, like excited to be there. I forget the phrase, but it was like the people who are happy to drive there, do the thing and drive back, and they're good. Only 27%. That means, so what's the math on that? 73? Yeah. 73%. Well, that's almost 3/4. That's this close. 3/4 of American employees, imagine that, are self-reporting that they are ambivalent or actively disengaged. That's almost everybody, really, if you think about it, right? 3/4 is a lot of people. Millions and millions and millions and millions of people are not happy at their work. And so this is what we're talking about. And then I'm going to throw some just roughlies out there because I don't have it in front of me. But roughly 2/3 of American employees have reported that their mental health issues have affected their work. I think the word that I saw was actually interfered. So affected isn't as strong as interfered, because interfered is pretty clear. Like I'm having anxiety or depression or whatever it is, and it really got in the way of my ability to perform. 2/3. So obviously there's a lot of overlap here. So with the zombies, we have ambivalence, so it's like a spectrum, like most things in life. It's not just here or here. Introverted, extroverted, whole middle, right? You can be in the middle of that. Same thing with the ambivalent and the energetically, actively just disengaged. Those are the zombies. And so ambivalent means you're not that 27% that's kind of stoked to get to work. They're feeling filled up. They're feeling in alignment with their purpose. This is me ad-libbing this. The people that are happy to be there, they're feeling good about being there, which means, they're feeling filled up on some level. The ambivalent folks are not. They're going through the motions, but they're not quite as miserable as the disengaged folks. So they're kind of doing the thing, getting the coffee in the morning, taking their time, not really being filled up, but still, I'm going to say like a little itty bit of a spark that's keeping them going. And then once that goes on for a while, that's just going to go down unless there's something happens, some kind of intervention, some kind of carefrontation, as we say. So the ambivalent crew will turn into the zombies eventually if something doesn't happen. So now the zombies basically they're box checking their way through life. And I don't know if I can think of a greater tragedy, as far as mentally, motivation, happiness level, fulfillment, that kind of thing, than box checking your way through life. I mean, wow, So the zombies look like this. They are absent a lot from work. A lot. They'll basically look for any excuse, whereas the ambivalent crew's doing that some of the time. But some of the time they're okay, so they're kind of like in the middle. The zombies are not in the middle. They're way over here, and they absolutely don't care. It's apathy. They might be smiling and nodding, just, because they're all about the paycheck, and that's it. And so they will get there right on time, Maybe they might push the envelope and come in late a couple of times, but they do want to remain employed and getting the paycheck. And they'll have their foot on the gas. If it's a 9 to 5, it's 4:59, and they hit the little button on the keys, and cars running before they go out. I mean, like every day, or most days. I don't like to use polarized words. And what else? Oh, and also they're disengaged from their colleagues or coworkers. And so this means that if there's any kind of fun things at work, which leaders I know are doing lots of all through the pandemic. They had to be exhausted, and after, and they're still doing it. Fun things, just fun social things like lunches and outings, and sometimes a volunteer day. I know we did that at Champlain. We had like a whole day. Maybe it wasn't the whole day. You signed up. You did I think the second half of the day or the first half of the day, but it was social and fun. You went and did something good, like you helped pick up a cross-country ski trail, or all different things you could do. But you're also with your colleagues, and there's a lunch, and you got a t-shirt and stuff. So the zombies, if they even show up or sign up for any of that, which they probably aren't, if they do, they're going to be the last ones there and the first ones to leave, and not contribute much in between. They'll be on their phones and Facebook and Instagram or whatever, and maybe their bodies are there, but just like a regular zombie, right? You can see them, they're in front of you, but it's like the lights are on and no one's home, kind of thing. And this is a really bad situation. And what else was I going to say about the box checking, absent a lot. They'll use every sick day they have, every well day they have, every day they have to not be there. Oh, they will also trash talk, because they can smell smell other potential zombies. They can smell each other too. So they'll trash talk about the leaders, the organization, just negative. And they can smell the ambivalent employees who could be future zombies. So they really try to reel them in, the us versus them dynamic, right? Which we're all familiar with, and trash talk, as much as they can about what's going on in the organization, and, people trying to do whatever, trying to maybe do good or whatever like that. And so here's the thing. Zombies are obviously very negative, and the energy is really toxic. So there are things we can do before they become full zombies. But truthfully, once they become zombies, once they're actually full-blown, looking like children of the corn, walking with the glaze, doing as little as possible, and sucking the oxygen out of the workplace that everybody else needs to breathe too, the best thing that a leader can do in this particular situation is to transition the zombies out of the organization or agency or business or college or high school or whatever it is, and really move them along, because at that point, once they've reached the zombie level, they need to go on their way, because it's just negativity. It's kind of like when the cliche of, it only takes a few rotten apples to spoil the whole bunch. They really take the other people down, and the ambivalents are kind of in the middle, really don't need that little push. The ones who are kind of super stoked to be there, they'll probably be fine. But the ambivalents can be okay with some interventions. We're going to talk about that right now. Okay, so we know about the zombies in the workplace. They're real. And after I've said this, I guarantee you can probably think of a couple. So as far as leaders out there, if you're a coworker or a colleague and you want to mention it to a leader, because this is what I'm doing right now. I'm working with, I'm only doing it by referral, actually, because my speaking schedule is kind of all over the place. But I'm going into businesses to get that spark back, to really help prevent zombies in the workplace, and really do a lot of, rewiring, becoming the boss of your brain, which is the Mindcraft thing, right? I'm doing a lot of that right now. So there are things we can do. So first of all, I would say to realize that the symptoms of burnout and depression aren't really very different. So especially in the area of loss of interest in what used to get you really excited, cooking, 5-star intimacy with a partner, and as far as the workplace, just being excited about what you're doing. You used to have a lot of good projects that really, fed your spirit, and you're a creative, and you were able to do all of that, and now you don't care anymore. That's definitely a symptom of burnout. Also, if you are living for the weekends, that is a symptom of on your way to burnout. You don't want to be like that anyway, because Monday's life minutes are every bit as valuable as Friday, Saturday, and Sunday's life minutes. You don't want to just toss away Monday through Thursday just to be the weekend warrior. even if it doesn't involve, that kind of implies binge drinking or something. That's not even what I mean. If you want to live to just go away for the weekend, or you want to live to just hang around the house, and it's good to rest and hang around the house sometimes. I don't mean that. But if you're kind of like plowing through Monday through Thursday to do that, something's dramatically wrong with your work life. Dramatically wrong. Because all those life minutes matter way too much. I remember being so excited to teach. I get in the Jeep all thinking about what I'm going to do, and then the way back, I think about the whole thing the way back. And this one spoke for the first time and contributed so much. It's just like I was on the clouds all the time. Same thing with speaking, because that's the flow zone. So anyway, burnout is opposite of being in the flow zone. So leaders can also, and they are, calling in people like myself to do, kind of, workplace mindset coaching and things like that. And thank goodness, because here's the thing. Is that burnout can be prevented. Thankfully, the brain is very, very resilient. Very, very resilient. And it can be individually, it can, and with the group too, can be rewired. Most of anything that has been done can be undone, and we can be rewired for positivity with some effort, some commitment and effort. But first of all, we got to become aware of it. So, because we can't do what we don't know, right? So it's really up to leaders and up to coworkers and colleagues to say it to leaders if they're not getting it on their own, that we'd really like to do something here. The vibe at work, even if it's not horrible, it could be maybe it's not horrible, but it's like dry white toast boring. You don't want that either. At least I don't want boring. I certainly don't want boring anywhere. And the workplace, think about the time we spend in a workplace. I like to say it's like a good mattress, because think of all the time you spend on a good mattress. You want it to be comfortable. You want to look forward to going to sleep at night. You want it to be inviting. You want to wake up rejuvenated. Well, think of the time most of us spend, let's say, 8 hours a day. Maybe some in the United States, it's often more than that for sure. So the workplace, I'm not saying every single day is going to be great, but most of them should be, though, because otherwise something's wrong. Like the high majority of the time, you should be excited and filled up and doing what you love and loving the people that you're doing it with. And obviously it doesn't mean there's one prickly or there's some dynamic. There's going to be dynamics, because you throw a bunch of human beings together, there's going to be dynamics. But for the most part, you want to be excited to go to work the high majority of the time. And when you drive home or walk home or bike home or whatever, you're feeling fulfilled that you're making a difference out there doing something and having fun. I just did a couple of reels about that yesterday. Whoever said we don't bring play into the workplace? No one. As far as leaders out there, I did 2 reels, one in a pirate outfit and one in a witch outfit. Because the thing is, leaders who incorporate fun into the workplace are so much more powerful. And I mean power in a good way, and stronger, because they're leading by example that our life minutes now are important. In this staff meeting, in this, whatever we're doing, at various different contexts of the business world or the academic world, they're modeling that our life minutes, that we want to live and reside in joy as much as possible, which includes work. It's not like, the person walks into work and it's just the employee there. No, it's the employee, it's the mother, the father, the sister, the brother, the one who's taking care of an aging parent, the one who's got mental health. The whole person walks in there. And so if that leader can bring fun in and actually, live that as an example, because a lot of times we do this thing like, I'm so professional, I'm in charge, I'm the head of the heads of the heads. Like, who cares? Nobody cares. A good leader is approachable. A good leader can dress up like a pirate for work, even if it's not Halloween. A good leader will do fun things and make jokes and inject that kind of and incorporate that into the workplace, because then they lead by example that our life minutes are valuable inside of work and outside of work, because we aren't just walking around with compartments. The whole complete person is at work with you, who's with all the different roles they have in life. Again, as a parent, as an adult child, somebody who's taking, caretaking, all of it. And so that's the thing. So we can prevent zombies in the workplace, definitely, by doing those things. Also doing risk assessments. That's a good idea to keep tab on what's going on with folks. Anonymous surveys asking them, because of the various work hazards that can come up, like they're not feeling supported, properly by a manager. Or there's a million different ways that they cannot be filled up. They don't feel in alignment with their purpose. Whatever they're doing is not exciting because I don't mean underneath them like in a bad way, just like it doesn't match their skills. They can do a lot more, kind of thing. So there's that, and we definitely encourage your teams, or if you're the coworker or colleague listening, encourage your leader to listen to their teams about really embracing and taking advantage of the mental health services at the company. That's super important to normalize it, and leaders lead by example and talk about it, thread it right through that this is important to you, bring it up in meetings. I'm also a big fan of calling in well. So those will be mental wealth days. And those can be, for the whole group, like let them go a few hours early on a Friday afternoon. Or you can have like the whole day where it's like a floating day. So a person doesn't have to make up something, which isn't good for us anyway, and say, I'm feeling too good. I'm calling in well. Sorry, can't make it. And then give person one of those a month or something like that. That's another good idea. But really what it comes down to is treating people how we want to be treated. It's the golden rule we all learned in kindergarten. And if leaders can do that, and we can do that for each other, there'll be far fewer zombies in the workplace. It's really, really important. So, that said, have a fabulous weekend.